And welcome to Nancy's Neighborhood, folks. And I'm sorry I haven't been around for a couple of weeks, maybe a week and a half, but it was really tough booking guests for the week of Thanksgiving because some people celebrate Thanksgiving on that Sunday, some do it on Thursday, some do it on the next Sunday. So I just said, we're just not even going to worry about it that week. And so, and then my guests that were supposed to be on Monday had reasons they couldn't be on the Monday show. So here it is Wednesday. It's cold, and it's cold enough, I hope, to kill bugs. So I do have a guest on. It's someone I've had on before, and I always love talking to this person because what he's doing, I think, is a marvelous vocation and avocation, and that's Michael McDonald, and he's with Comm. So welcome, Michael.
Well, thank you, Nancy. Thank you for having me back.
I always love having you back. I love talking to you about this because veterans have a special place in my heart, and I just think it's wonderful what you're a veteran and what you're trying to do to help. So first of all, let's start out with you telling people, what is Comm?
Nancy, Comm is a program designed specifically for veterans and their families to help them start their own businesses. So for example, we offer a 9-week program free of charge. It's an MBA level educational program that they go through each step of the course, and when they are done, they have a complete business model in hand and ready to go.
Okay, an MBA.
MBA level program.
Wow, okay.
So what I've done is I was very fortunate. While my service was being completed, I competed and earned an MBA from Syracuse University.
Fantastic.
So what I've done is I've boiled down all the college mumbo jumbo that those people out there who know that have earned the MBA the long way. A lot of it you find that is a lot of fluff. It's very important.
Cliff notes for
yeah,
MBA. Okay.
Exactly. So what we do is we've boiled that down, removed those small things that are probably irrelevant in the long term, and then we design it specifically for the veteran community and their family to take advantage of great programs that are out there and to help them get started where otherwise they may not know where to begin.
Absolutely, and you and I both know, and we've talked about this many times off camera, you don't just go open the door at a storefront and say, I'm going to have a small business. Because it does not work that way.
No.
And as a small business owner, and even when we had our manufacturing plant, because of the number that the government qualifies for small business, we were still a small business. And so you have to have a little bit of knowledge about what you're stepping into.
That's correct. That's an absolute correct. So one of the very first classes that we have is the title is this the right business? In other words, do you have the right idea? And you know, a lot of times we find that students, when they come through the course, veterans and their families, for example, they may want to start out maybe selling popsicles as an example, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But you know, selling popsicles in Alaska is probably not going to be as lucrative as maybe selling them in Key West, Florida.
There you go.
And so what they do is they consider what they're doing, how they're doing it. We take them through every step of the process. They kind of go through the financial business emotions of what is right, what is wrong. We show them how to do the research. We help them do the research, and then we provide information for them after they graduate. So our relationship with our graduates never ceases.
Okay, so it's a perpetual situation where you're always there to support them.
That's absolutely
and
correct.
That is great. And I know when I first opened my little gift shop, the Red Ribbon, I found out that I could not just stock it with stuff I like, that I had to stock it with things that other people like that I might not like.
Exactly.
And that's just one of those things that you have to kind of realize if you're going to start a small business, that you need to have an awareness of what's going on out in the world and not just what's going on in your little world.
That's exactly correct. And so to kind of talk it through as far as the veteran side of the house, in addition to the course, we also do things for them that help them maybe potentially compete for local, state, and government contracts. We help mentor them in that level. We help them do something called get a cage code and a Duns and Bradstreet number, which if you're in business, you know what that is. Mm-hmm. We help them compete on the FBO side of the house, with federalbizops.gov. We get you completely set up, and then we link you with external programs that are there run by the state or federal government to complement your education already. So Small Business Development Center here at Cleveland State
they're awesome.
With
yes.
Director Jenny DeCook over
mm-hmm.
there,
mm-hmm.
or with Paul Middlebrooks over there at University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, that helps them set up their veteran status as far as being, if they are a disabled veteran, they help them achieve that status. if their business or they live within a city dwelling that is considered a hub, or we can
Yes.
help them with that.
Yes.
So all these little nuances that are very centric to not just business in general, but to the veteran, it helps them be more successful.
And this, to me, what you're saying is what everybody, not just a veteran, needs, but everybody needs when they're thinking about starting a small business. But I think it's great that you're concentrating on veterans, and you are a veteran, so therefore it makes it, I guess, easier for you to talk to these people because you know their background.
Generally speaking, veterans have their own language, right?
Yes.
So to kind of keep it simple, so if I say to somebody that has been a service member or a family member who knows, if I say, I started this process and I've improved my foxhole, they're going to know what I'm talking about, okay?
Yes.
Now, if I was to say that potentially to somebody who's never had an affiliation with the military, they probably know what a foxhole is, but they don't understand the complete analogy behind that.
Right. Well, I know my husband would sometimes meet people, and after we'd walk away from him, he'd say, "Not in my foxhole." So I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes. Okay. So if you could pick your foxhole, you need to be sure you pick it correctly. But I think this is awesome, and a lot of times vets come out of the service not really knowing what they want to do because for 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, 30 years, they've been told what they were supposed to do.
That's a very true statement. So I get a lot of conversation from other veterans that are inquisitive about the program from near and far. And so obviously in the military you have fundamentally two types of rank structure. You have enlisted and officer corps. Officer corps typically they are the policy makers during that process. And the enlisted corps, regardless of rank, is fundamentally we either enforce that or we act upon those directions, okay? Which means two things. The officer corps tends to come out and they want to start a business, and it's a good thing. They're pretty active. However, because they're not used to functionally, pardon the expression, reaping what they sow in a lot of ways, and that's not a disrespectful moment.
Absolutely
This is
not.
the reality.
I know what you're talking about.
What
Right.
we're going with is they're managers,
That's right.
And so the reality is that they quickly realize that there's some pieces missing. Now, on the other hand, equally on the other side, the enlisted side of the house has the same problem on the opposite side.
Right.
They're used to getting things done, but now you have a situation where, well, I need to make a decision on this, or where do I go to get this, or I now need to lead and engage people for policy. So in other words, you become all those things, right?
Right.
And that's what an entrepreneur really is.
Absolutely.
As an entrepreneur, if something goes well, everybody shares the credit in that. If something does not go well, you're responsible.
That is true. That
Hard
is very
facts.
true.
Hard
That is
facts.
very true. But and that's basically true in the military too, because your ranking officers, if whatever happened down there didn't turn out the way it was supposed to turn out, then you're going to be responsible.
It's called accountability.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so what we do through the entrepreneur process for VetComm is that we help you build upon the knowledge that you already have on your leadership skills as well. And what that does is it puts a common sense conversation into the otherwise very stuffy room.
I got you. I think that's great. And common sense, you want to think everybody has common sense. You want to think that. And so to be able to talk people into what common sense is and how you would utilize it has to be a task in itself.
Yes, it does. It does. And you know what? With each person, there's different life experiences.
Oh, yes.
But some positive notes on the veteran-run business is this. So, for example, if basically less than 1/2% of the population, eligible population, is serving at any given time, okay?
Okay.
Now, let's hold on to that number for a second. 1/2%. That's very small.
That's
all right?
tiny.
Okay. So let's look at the population of businesses in the United States. 9% of the businesses started last year alone were veteran-run businesses.
Wow.
So 1/2% of a population is somewhere along the way making it happen on the economic level, small business level, at 9%. That's pretty strong.
That's real strong.
That's
Absolutely
real strong.
it is.
And I get a lot of questions of why. Why are they doing better than the others? And it's not that they're doing better. It's just that at the end of the day, all people, if they need to pick between going home early or getting a meal or getting the job done, everybody will make that hard decision somewhere along the way. Your veteran business owner will make that decision immediately, simply because they want to get it done so they don't have to worry about it later.
Yes.
Okay?
And
It won't linger.
That's right. And people who have never been in small business before, who think that they, like I said, just go to a storefront and open the door. I've had people say to me, Nancy, it must be marvelous to have a small business because you can take a vacation anytime you want to. And all the perks that you have from things that you buy for the shop that you can just take home with you. And, you know, all these things that I'm thinking, you don't have a clue. You do not have a clue. And I'm sure that a lot of people walk into VetComm without a clue.
Well, it happens, and it's okay. Matter of fact, it is sometimes in our minds for VetComm, it's better for you to come in with your own opinion, and then when you go through the process, we watch you bloom.
Okay.
And mature, and that's okay. You know, and so, and the individuals who are taking advantage of our program are not just fresh out of the military veterans.
Okay.
We're not that's not the reality. We've had, and I won't throw their names out there because, you know, happy birthday to everybody, right? But we've had a spread of ages between the ages of 25 all the way up to 75.
Wow.
Graduate our course, and everybody in between.
And
Men and women, both veterans, their spouses, and their adult children ages 18 to 26.
Okay, now see, I think that's great because when you and I were talking off camera, I was kind of assuming that it was actual veterans, but you said to me, you mentioned some people that have been through your program that were spouses.
Yep.
And I think that's awesome.
That's what we provide because, so for example, if I can talk about the spouse side of this for why we made the decision at the board level.
Right.
You know, regardless of man, woman, it's an indifference to us. What we're going to is this. If you are the supporting role, the spouse of a service member who has served for a period of time, you know, you've also put your life, your professional growth on hold as well.
Absolutely.
Because now you're holding down the home fort while the soldier is holding down the garrison. And that's the reality, okay? One way, shape, or form.
That's
Whether
absolutely.
there's children involved or dogs, it doesn't matter,
Right.
Fur babies,
Right.
it doesn't matter. What we're getting to is, the spouse and the team, they are owed an opportunity just as the next person.
You are so right.
And that's important for us. You know, so for example, and I'm gonna plug Sergeant First Class Christopher Butts, okay, and his wife Susan. So Christopher and Susan went to our last class together as a family, and it was great. Christopher fundamentally is going to start his own business as a scuba dive instructor.
Oh, wow.
Which is, he's certified and he's going to help people get that certification here in Tennessee.
Fantastic.
His wife, on the other hand, Susan, she is a travel agent that started her own little business. Now, I will tell you, without going into great detail, that they're doing just fine.
Good.
Okay, so if you're looking for a Disney opportunity or anything else for that matter, you might want to go to VetComm's Facebook page, and Susan's information is there.
Okay.
And so that's what we do as well. But she is a shining example of going from an idea, from concept to realization. And she did it within 30 days of graduation.
Fantastic.
Amazing.
That is fantastic. And I know where you're coming from on this. I have a friend, they've just moved back to Cleveland, well, probably a couple of years ago. He was military retired, and she went everywhere he went with the kids and everything. And so now it's her turn.
Exactly, and
so
that's okay.
she's going to college now because she wants a certain degree in a certain thing. She doesn't want to start her own business or anything, but it's her turn now.
Right, and that's a good idea. That's a great thing. And then let's talk about the children, for example, right? When I say children, and the reason we say 18 to 26, because even though we're not funded by anybody besides personal kind gifts from other folks out there in our community, what we're getting to is the Department of Defense has specific rules. And if you're a nonprofit, and if you're going to teach something, and if we want to help those individuals, we got to fit some basic rules. So we basically are helping the same people that the GI Bill would help.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
And that's
Makes
what
a lot of sense.
That's what we did. We made sure that we wrote some of our rules in tandem with the GI Bill. So if they go to our course and they love it, And now maybe they want to go through the full 3-year program of an actual MBA. Guess what? They have a great background.
Yes.
And so with the child part or the young adult part is, we have one example of a gentleman named Michael Muscle. His dad was an Army guy, okay? And we met Michael at a local restaurant here in town. He was serving, okay? Great potential, smart, but just needed some guidance. So we met him. We invited him to come to the course. He did. Now, Michael didn't start his own business, but here's the important part. He graduated. He was a real smart, sharp guy, right? He is now the assistant manager of a restaurant that the owner restarted in Chattanooga and promoted him.
Wow.
So in other words, he now can speak to the owner in the same language the owner speaks in the business side of the house, which is we call it combat multiplier, but really it benefits both people.
Right.
And it helps everybody. And it's been a successful business for quite a while.
And that's fantastic.
I'll plug in Mayan Kitchen.
Okay, very good. And we have plugged it, and that is super,
there you go.
super, super. So you are located in the, I've forgotten what that's called, upstairs at the United Way.
We're located upstairs in United Way.
Yes.
It's and guess what? I forgot the name
I've
of it
forgotten,
too.
and
This is terrible.
It is terrible. I'm on the United Way board, and I can't think of what that's called. And Matt Ryerson will call me tomorrow and tell me what it is. But anyway, it's the whole upstairs, and we made it into small business.
It's a
offices.
nonprofit incubator.
Yes, it's a nonprofit incubator, and that was something that Matt had in his mind for several years to do, which I think is great because it gives you an opportunity to set your business up there, and you have the amenities of there's a receptionist, and there's a fax machine, there's a conference room, and I think that's great.
And that's that's where we teach our class at United Way as well.
Oh, okay. You do that too.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So we're downstairs in the main conference room.
Oh, okay.
We can have 15 people go at any given time.
Right.
And it's a 9-week course. It's on Tuesdays. It's from 5:30 at night to 7:30 in the evening.
Oh, it's just 2 hours?
Just 2 hours.
Okay,
and
that's not bad.
We get a lot done in 2 hours.
I can imagine. I can imagine, yes.
By the time it's all said and done, typically as veterans, we sometimes ramble on and maybe go to 8 o'clock, but that's because the class wants to. Questions.
Yes.
And the other part about the class, it's really important, is that you get to intermingle with other people who are starting other businesses. And some of them may very well be the same, but some of them are different. I can definitely tell you in this last class, we introduced one of the future graduates, Steve Postel. I'll say his name out loud. And what we did is we introduced him to Sergeant First Class Christopher Butts. And so Steve provides T-shirts, coffee cups, pens, things of that nature for business use, right? Well, guess what the United States Army needs to buy from time to time, right?
Yes.
So that's called creating a network, professional network.
That's right.
And that's the little things. And I like to talk about that for veterans a little bit.
And I think that's great. I'm looking at Alex to see, we need to take a commercial break. That's what I'm looking at Alex to see. I thought we were probably there because I didn't want to start something we're going to have to stop. So, folks, we'll be right back. Watch our commercials, support our sponsors because they pay our bills, and we'll be right back. And Michael's going to talk a little bit more about this opportunity for you veterans out there. So don't go away. We'll be right back.